We got the Astro Observers for December of 2020, and well, just as you guys know, December for 2020 was not very good weather-wise, and I had basically 2 nights, and the second night had to deal with the planets, and I'll talk about that. But one of the things I do want to mention here, this is of course my grab and go telescope. It's an Explorer Scientific 4-inch f6.47 refractor. It has a Rigel quick finder on it. It has the Twilight 1 mount. This is, not everybody, has a grab and go scope. I like having a grab and go scope. I mean, this thing, is out, it's set up in my family room. I can pick it up, take the whole thing out and set it up in a matter of minutes. And it's a fun scope. It's optical quality. It's an achromatic, of course, but optical quality is actually pretty good. But this was a night. This was actually right before the big snowstorm. We had a little bit of snow that day, this night, and it cleared up. So, and I said, oh, you know what? It doesn't look good because I knew this other big storm was coming. So I thought, okay, well, let me get a few things in. So I just grabbed this scope, took it outside, and just did a few things with it, maybe about 20 minutes or so. And something like the Pleiades, is always really good, fun to look at. Well, you just had a 25 millimeter plasma in there, and it captured the entire cluster. Can't say I was seeing any nebula, but it was really a nice view, and it's like it's one of those objects, that's just fun to go for. And when you have a short refractor like that, it's just really a fun object to go for. And then the other one, this is M41 in Canis Major, and this, guys, was when I was a kid, when I first got into astronomy and I got my first serious telescope. This was my actual first deep sky object in a 60 millimeter refractor, and so it kind of like, I said, you know what, I want to go for it. It's in a good part of the sky here at home. It can actually, from a dark site, you can actually see this with the naked eye. But it's a really nice cluster. And like I said, it kind of brought back some memories from when I was a kid, as being my very first deep sky object that I saw. And this night it actually looked really good. You could see some color in some of the stars, and so it was just a nice, fun object to go for. And like I said, just brought back some memories. And you can see I actually used 2 different eyepieces. The 25 millimeter was really nice, but the 10 millimeter actually I thought really brought out more of the color in the stars. And then, of course, the Crab Nebula. It's always a favorite to go for. And here's a near view image of it, of what it kind of looked like through my 10 millimeter plasma. That's one thing I wanted to mention too. Not only is the telescope grab and go, I have this small box of 3 eyepieces. It's a 25 millimeter plasma, a 10 millimeter plasma, and then a 6 millimeter eyepiece that I have. And this was it was a really nice view of the crab. I mean, it's, of course, nothing like the big scope show in darker locations and so on, but it was just fun to see the Crab Nebula being, of course, a supernova remnant. And it actually looked pretty good. I was actually surprised how good it was. And of course, here's Frank's image of the Orion Nebula. And, how can you not enjoy going for the Orion Nebula? It actually looked really good. And you noticed I used a 6 millimeter eyepiece, which in this telescope is over 100 magnification. But it actually captured the nebula really well. You could see the trapezium really well. No color, of course, but it actually gave some nice detail. And it's, if you're going to do a grab and go sessions this time of year, you're always going to go for the Orion Nebula. It's always fun to go for, so I went for the Orion Nebula. And then of course, everybody was talking about the conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter, and here, of course, it was what, the 21st, I believe it was, and here, like most of the Northeast has been for a while, socked in with clouds. So this was actually the following night. This was on the 22nd, and we're actually out towards the Vineyard area. And my plan was originally, if it was clear either night, was actually take the old 12.5 back there and view it, because this was the only part of the sky that I could actually, or the only part of the property that I could actually get a good view of the conjunction. And of course, the snowstorm came, and there was a lot of snow back there. And the only way I was going to be able to take one of the big scopes back there was I would have to load it up in the van and drive back there. Well, that wasn't going to happen, you know. So the thing I had to do, of course, was to take the 4-inch refractor back there. And so the wife and I, Sherry, she took this picture of me, and you can see here. It was funny because even though we knew that the actual conjunction night, it was going to be cloudy, and it was just socked in. They did say that the following night was supposed to be clear, and it was going to clear out by, say, 4 o'clock. So around 4 o'clock that evening, I was walking the dogs, and it was really clearing out. I think, oh, cool, it's going to clear out for me, you know, like that. And even though it's not the conjunction, the planets are still going to be real close together. So I wanted to see it, and so at around 5, my plan was to set the scope out there around 5:15, because they said the best time to see it was going to be between 5:30 and 6:15. Then after that, it was going to get too low in the sky. So I figured if I took the scope out there around 5:15, got it set up, I can get some really nice views starting around 5:30 or so. And of course, around 5 o'clock, it started clouding up again. So I was like, oh, geez. So, I mean, I'm all ready to go, ready to take the telescope out. I was dressed, everything else ready to go. And it didn't look like it was going to happen. It looked like it was going to stay cloudy. And I was like, okay, here we go again, you know. And around 20 after 5, all of a sudden, it started clearing out in the west. And you can see this nice picture here where we still had clouds here, but there's this nice clearing like that. So I grabbed the scope, took it out there, and set it up, and we got some really nice views, and did a simulation of what we saw through the telescope. And this is with that 6mm eyepiece, so it's 110 power. And see if I can remember, it's Europa, and then Callisto, Io, and Ganymede. And that's how they were set up like this. So it was kind of perfect to be able to see all 4 of the moons. And then, of course, Saturn was here. And it was a really neat view. We went back and forth looking through the telescope for maybe about 20 minutes, you know, waiting for steadier sky. And we were starting to get some really nice detail. You know, like in Jupiter, we'd see the cloud belts and so on. Saturn looked really good. But it was a really neat view. And I was glad to at least see the 2 major planets like this in one field of view. And so then we just packed everything in, took it in back into the place, into our house, and went back outside about 10 minutes after we had the telescope in, and it was completely cloudy again. So we had this window of maybe about 20-25 minutes of actually clear skies. So we got to see, even though it wasn't a conjunction, it was the following night, the 2 planets were still close together and gave us a really great view through the small refractor. It's a shame. I wanted to see it through at least the 12.5, but hey, you know, I got to see this, and I'm not certain when this is going to happen again. I know they say it was 800 years ago when it happened before, but yeah, it was really neat. It was really neat. And then I have a planned observation target, and I talk about this in my new galaxy log. So I wanted to do it here also. And it's in Orion. It's actually interacting galaxies, and it's IC 412 and 413. And I will say though, this is an interesting area of the sky. There's some interesting galaxies in Orion, but particularly around the shield area and so on. Mostly for larger telescopes. So this is going to be mostly for the big scopes to view. So here's this is from Stellarium Web. Here's 23 Orionis, and here are the two galaxies. IC 412 is the brighter of the two, and I have a photograph here from one of the surveys, sky surveys, and here they are. And you can see it's an interacting pair. They're a little over 200 million light years away. They're both around 13.5 magnitude. So this will be definitely for January's dark window or even February's dark window, whatever, if we get a good clear night and I have, one of the bigger scopes up, hopefully the 22. This is going to be my main focus for this coming dark window. But it's really it looks like a very interesting pair. And you guys know I really like interacting galaxies, and I've never seen it. I don't have any notes that I've ever seen these before, so I'm kind of anxious to go for them.
You know what the magnitude is on them?
They're like 13.5 magnitude. So they're fairly, for big scopes, for say 15 and over, they're actually fairly bright. They're not, the surface brightness is actually pretty good. I'm not remember off the top of my head, but they're small, so they're not going to have low surface brightness.
Yeah, I wonder if that dark lane can be seen on that one.
Yeah, that'll be, like I said, it's going to be interesting, and I definitely will be going. Or even I was thinking this is 412 here, and this is 413. And 412 has this arm shooting up, so that's going to be an interesting. I think the star,
that comet shape like shoots down toward the other galaxy too.
Right.
Tail on the bottom of it.
Yep. So it looks like an interesting pair to go for. I think the star here is around 12th magnitude or so. Something like that. So this will be my main focus, because I even told my fans at Galaxy Log that because I talked about the same thing, that this will be my main focus for the upcoming dark window, and just cross our fingers that we do a good night, because I'm really anxious to see this. But like I said, there's, if you go on like Uranometria or some of the other good charts that we use, whether it's Uranometry or some of this stuff you find on the internet, there's some interesting galaxies in this region of the sky, but there's nothing real bright. So they're more for the larger telescopes. And but this will be like I said, this will be my main focus. So that's it for me. So Rob, I guess you're up next.
You're going to show my telescope?
Oh. Let's see here.
He can't find it. It's too small.
It was stolen.
Karl, do you have time to edit something out?
Well, hold
Still
on.
can't find it. It's too small.
It's too small.
This is great because Rob knows he's being recorded, so he can't say anything.
Picture is worth 1,000 words. All right, don't worry about it.
Oh, I got it here. Hold on here. We're going to show Rob's telescope.
It's hard to find. It's just so tiny.
Hold on here. All right. There's Rob's scope.
So this is my grab and go scope. I have it set up in my garage. I've got 3 eyepieces that I pull out with it when I'm ready to use it. But unfortunately, it has not seen not the light of day, the light of night, I guess is the better way to say it. So that guy did not get out this dark window, unfortunately. I really, because of everything that's going on with me, I really only got out to see the conjunction on the same night that you did, Karl, on the 22nd.
Mm-hmm.
But on the 21st, I was really gung-ho to see it, you know. So I had loaded up the telescope in my car, like on the, I don't know, the 18th or the 19th. I was just saying, not this one. I put the refractor in the car.
Mm-hmm.
So the 140, the APM 140. So I put that in the car. I had it all loaded up, ready to go. And I was just going to go to wherever the sky might be clear. But of course it wasn't. So on the night of the 21st, we were out. We took a little walk through Elverson, walking Trevor's dog, our oldest son, who was home for Christmas. So we were taking the dog for a walk, and there was nothing. I mean, the whole sky was just a sheet of white. So, but we had taken 2 cars. So then when we were done, I drove over to one of the kind of remote areas in our neighborhood, where I had a real good view of the western sky, which I didn't realize. I took this road that I haven't been down in a long time, and it's a little farm field, and it opens up to the western sky really nice. So at least I found out, like, the next time there's any kind of planets to be viewed, that's a really good spot to see them. Unfortunately, there was nothing to see. So the next night, I was working, and Jennifer and Trevor were going out to walk the dog, and they were going to this little development. It's very lightly populated in above St. Peter's Village. So I said, look, you guys, I know there's a good view of the western sky there. If it looks good, give me a call, you know. So about 15 minutes later, Trevor called me. He said, Dad, it's sitting right there right now. I mean, it's beautiful. But there are clouds above it, you know, but below the clouds into the horizon, it's clear, but it's really cloudy out, but it's clear right now. So I took the cue, and I just jumped in the car, and I drove out there, and there was a lot of snow on the ground still. Mm-hmm. And I just set up the telescope as quickly as I could. And it was really like a game of beat the clock. I mean, you could see the clouds kind of moving, and, you know, it was bad enough to miss it the night of the conjunction, but I definitely did not want to miss it on the next night. So I did get the telescope set up pretty quickly. I didn't do any go-to or anything like that, and I didn't have it perfectly balanced. I just locked the settings in, and I put it in. I put in my 6mm ethos and my 8mm ethos. So the 8mm ethos actually gave the nicer view, and that was pretty similar to the view that you showed, the one you mocked up, because I was at 122x mm-hmm. with a wide field view, and mm-hmm. it looked almost identical to the image you showed, and it really was breathtaking. And Jennifer and Trevor, it was freezing cold, and they were still hanging out, like, you know, standing there watching it, and we viewed it for about 15 minutes or so. And then, you know, that was it. But I was really glad to see it. And it was really an exciting view through the eyepiece. I would have loved to have the 20 on it, but yeah. It was a very exciting view to see the rings and the planet and the Jupiter and the moons all lined up, like you said. So I was very happy to have seen it. And I'll take the night after. It was a gorgeous view. I mean, if you had told me that was the premier view, if you had said this is the night where they're going to be the closest, and that was the view that I saw, I'd be perfectly pleased and say, wow, that's stunning, you know. So yeah, I was glad to do it. So that was really the only the only viewing I did. But I do have some things for the upcoming dark window. One, I wanted to share a screen if I could.
Yep.
Can you now? I shouldn't. Okay. Let me pull it up first. Okay. Because this is another one of these things where hold on. What am I doing here? Okay, here it comes. Hang on. Can you see my screen?
Mm-mm.
Wait a second. I got it now. Okay, this should work. Sorry about this.
That's all right.
I've not done this. I'm on my iPad, so I've not done this before. Let me know if you see my screen.
I see it says something about everything on your screen, including notifications, will be
Right. Okay. So let me see now.
Yep.
You are sharing screen. All right. Do you see
Yep.
the Hickson 16 image?
Yep.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. All right. So this is one I want to look at, but it's kind of interesting. I was really curious about this. So, and I don't have arrows or anything, but you can see that the top 4 galaxies, 33, 35, 38, and 39.
Right.
That's the Hickson 16. And they're fairly bright. It's a fairly bright group of Hicksons. They're like 13th and 14th magnitude galaxies.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm reading about them, and then I get this other piece of information, and it says that they're the core of a larger galaxy group called the Lions groups of galaxies. Are you familiar with those?
No.
So it's, Josh, have you heard of them?
No.
And I forgot, I wanted to check my Nexus to see if they're in there, and I forgot to do that. But anyway, the interesting thing is, so I'm reading this article about them, and it says the Hickson 16, the 4 bright galaxies, are the core of a galaxy group of 7 galaxies, including the 4 Hicksons plus 848 and 873. You see 873 way down there at the bottom of the screen?
Yeah.
So this is like part of this 7 galaxy group, except if you count the galaxies, there's only 6. So in the article, the guy never mentions the 7th galaxy, which I thought that was kind of peculiar. If you're going to say it's a group of 7 galaxies, you'd think you would list the 7 galaxies, but he does say they're part of this Lions groups of galaxies. So I thought, okay, well, I'll just look up Lions groups of galaxies, and it's Lions groups of galaxies number 49. I can find nothing. You can Google it. You'll find Lions groups of galaxies.
When you're saying Lions, Rob, how is that spelled? L-Y or L-I?
L-Y, L-Y-O-N-S. So I even went on the Wikipedia page, and it just says Lions groups of galaxies is a group of galaxies. See groups of galaxies. See galaxy clusters. So I'm really curious about it, only because I don't know where the 7th galaxy is in this thing, and I can't find it. So I'm going to do a little more. What's that?
I'll get it for you.
So I couldn't find anything online, but I just really got into this like yesterday. So I'll do a little more research on it. But I definitely want to pull up that group, because I had a really good view of Hickson 10, the last dark window, and I really liked it. And I'd like to at least try to get like 1 Hickson every dark window if I can. That would be a nice little project, and something to share with the Astro guys.
Yep.
And then the other target that I just stumbled upon, which sounds really neat, this is a reflection nebula. Actually, I'm going to stop sharing the screen now. Okay, so let me see if that worked pretty well. Now, am I back on?
No, it's just your icon.
Okay, here I come. I'm back.
Hey.
You probably enjoyed the icon better than my mug, but
Rob, you can't take the joke. Like I mean, I was just getting ready to say that. You go back to the icon and switch back so I can beat you to it.
So this other one that I just came upon, which was kind of cool, is this NGC 1999 in Orion, not far from where your 2 galaxies are, Karl. So that'd be good to hit those. I'll hit those 2 at the same time. This is right below the Sword, and it's a reflection nebula. But the neat thing about it is there's this dark patch in front of it. This is a deep sky challenge that I was reading in Astronomy Now magazine. So there's this dark patch in it, and it was always thought to be like a like intergalactic dust, just like blocking part of the reflection nebula. And that was the case up until like just 10 years ago. And this was discovered by William Herschel, like back in the whatever years he was doing this. So, but now they're saying that it's not a piece of interstellar gas; that it's actually a hole in the reflection nebula in the shape of a T.
Wow.
And it says it's for 16 to 20 inch telescopes. Definitely under dark skies for 16, 20 probably. I should be able to get it. Josh, you might have fun with this with the 25, but it looks like a really cool object because, first of all, it's almost like the opposite of a planetary nebula. With like a planetary nebula, you're looking for the object in the center of the gas. Here, you're looking for blank space in the center of the gas to just see where this whole, and they think that it just like was blown through by interstellar winds or some perpetuations from star forming regions in the area. So that sounds like a pretty cool object. So I'm definitely going to go after that. And then the last thing, I haven't really picked out anything in particular yet, but I was showing you on my text post that I came upon these. You can't see it with the, that's funny.
There you go. A little bit.
Come on, baby. Come on, get in there. Why won't that do it?
I think you got to pull farther back, Rob.
Is that it?
All right. There you go. Oh, right there.
All right. Well, this is pointless.
No, you got it.
All right. So this is the Webb Society, and I came upon these old. I used to belong to the Webb Society back when I first, not long after I got started in astronomy, but to tell you the truth, it was way beyond what I was capable of understanding. And, I was only dealing with a 12.5-inch scope at the time. So I really enjoyed reading about these objects and just about the deep sky observers and all the reports that they were writing and how detailed it was and everything. I thought, oh, that'd be really cool someday to, have a telescope where I might be able to see some of these. And of course, now I do. So I'm glad I saved them. And then, Karl, I know you're familiar with this, the Deep Sky Observer.
Yep.
Yeah. So I have a handful of these too. So there's a lot of interesting objects in here. A lot of them are more like southern sky objects, but you still get enough, northern sky objects. So I think I have a pretty good plan for this next dark window.
Good. Very good.
So excited about it. Yeah.
All righty.
All right. Josh, I can't see your scope. Where is it?
It's busy eating yours right now.
All right.
The predator finds the tiny little prey.
Well, here it comes. Here comes Josh's obscure universe.
All right.
Here we go, Josh.
All right. So this past dark window for me was a complete bust. I actually decided to do a little bit of telescope maintenance, which kind of turned into telescope modification. It kind of took on a life of its own. So I didn't really miss a whole lot with the poor weather. I did not get a view of Saturn and Jupiter that was worth anything. I got to it the night before, shooting through sucker holes, and till I got a decent clearing of it, it was in the trees. So the night of the conjunction, it was total garbage here. I didn't get any hole. I was out waiting for it. And then the following night, it was, again, I couldn't get anything that resembled decent skies to warrant getting a look at it. So what I did, since I had no observations this past dark window, I thought, well, I'm going to go back through the logs and pull up some fun, obscure stuff to talk about in tonight's meeting. So my thought was, even though we're technically talking about our observations from the past dark window, I thought I'm going to go back through my logs, which I've been keeping for 12 years now, and see if I observed on January 5th at any point in time. and if so, talk about some of the obscure stuff I saw on that night. So wound up going back, and in 2011, I observed January 5th, and it worked out perfect that it was a definite obscure observation kind of night. So I spent the majority of that night picking apart the Perseus cluster. Most people, when they think about the Perseus cluster, think about NGC 1275. That's the brightest one in that group, 11.8 magnitude. And it's very bright, considering that it's 250 million light years away. But there's a high concentration of galaxies in this region. And you can see here, well, it's displayed on the screen, the circle that encompasses those galaxies is a half a degree field of view. And the dimmest galaxy represented in there is 16.5 magnitude. So if you have a large scope, dark skies, clear, transparent skies, maybe if you got some elevation going to get up above some of the atmosphere distortions, you'll get a good view of this, and you'll see in a half a degree field of view a lot of galaxies. Some of these are on the dimmer side, pushing up against the 16.5 range, so you won't necessarily see all of these, but you'll see quite a few of them. So the night of January 5th, 2011, I just took my time and I dedicated a few hours to it because I meticulously picked it apart. And when you're galaxy hopping in such a rich field, it's actually far harder than if you have a few objects spread out. Anybody that's ever tried to star hop in the Milky Way would know what I'm talking about. If you have, like, you know, a few stars to deal with and some are noticeably brighter than others, it's pretty easy to, you know, figure out where you're at. But when you're in a field with lots of stars and a lot of similar magnitude stars, it gets tricky. So in trying to galaxy hop through this field, I really had to take my time and use varying magnifications to pull out some of the dimmer members. I was observing this from a local site, and so, you know, it took a little bit of work, some high magnification to increase that background contrast to pull out some of the 16.5 members. Karl, I think you should have a.
Yeah. I was going to ask you first, Josh, what the circle you have here, what eyepiece would give you that for your 25? Do you know?
Oh, I don't know.
Off the top of your head.
Off the top of my head, I'm going to say probably my 13 or
13 ethos.
Yeah, 13, maybe 17 for sure.
Okay.
And that's where I would need, you know, I would need dark skies to get
Right.
the galaxies to pop out at that low power.
Yep.
So you've got to kind of start with your low power, identify the brighter galaxies, and there's a nice V pattern of bright galaxies. If you look at this with like a low power field, wide field, low power, and a big scope, you're going to pick up a nice V pattern that 1275 is kind of the anchor of.
Right.
I just worked my way out from there, just running on different chains and patterns of galaxies.
Right.
And it proved to be quite enjoyable to just sit there and pick it apart. And I actually pretty much took it all the way down to the horizon. For the time of year it was, I got started on a little late, and I just remember like I really worked it till it started to get low enough in the sky that the dimmer members
Right.
kind of getting interfered with from the light dome.
Right.
But it entertained me for the majority of the night, just picking that apart.
All right. Here's that field there.
So what I did on the chart that I had with me, I just gave each one of them my own number, like as I observed them. And then I went back through and found the object designation and the magnitude with them and generated this list. So as you look at this numbered chart on the right, you can see the kind of the pattern, the connected dots that I followed to do the galaxy hop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I worked my way off the left side, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Then I kind of rolled back over to the number 2 side of that V, and then worked 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and then rolled my way up across 2021 and then back down. So you can kind of see the development of it. And then at the very end, I ran back up to the tip of the V, went to that number 5 galaxy, and then worked my way across 30, 31, 32, 34, and 35. So kind of gives you, if you're going to pick this one apart, maybe you want to kind of follow a similar pattern or kind of pick your own pattern, but you just work out across these different chains and patterns of galaxies. So it's definitely some dim stuff in there. I didn't run all the light years on these, but I'm sure some of them are out there fairly far.
So Josh, was that, by the way, I remember when you did this. I don't know if I was there that night, but I remember you telling me, if I wasn't there, I remember you telling me within a few days of when you did it. So I knew when I saw that image, I thought, oh, I wonder if this is the night that he tore that cluster apart.
Yeah.
Because I remember, I very vividly remember you talking about this. So I always thought that was really cool.
Now, it was actually
But the thing I wanted to ask you was,
yes.
So was that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
It was me and Doc.
Okay.
And we were up at DS2.
Okay. So was that the most galaxies you saw in one field of view?
I don't think so, because the way it worked, because it was a local site, because it was DS2, and the conditions were good, but nothing, spectacular. Not one of those nights you peg is a really good one. To get the brighter galaxies in, I had to go low power.
Mm-hmm.
So, with the 17 ethos, you're only going to see the brighter members. So then as I, increase the magnification, you could get in this picture here, you could get the 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, maybe, and the 13 ethos or the 10 ethos or something like that. But then the field got too narrow for the other ones.
Right.
So this,
okay.
If I'm remembering correctly, I did not note it. So if I noted it, then it would be the most I've seen in the field of view. Typically, if I get up above 12 galaxies in a single field, I'll make a note of that. And I did not do that here. So I'm going to say no, that visually I didn't get that many in one field of view. Now, if I observe this from, Texas Star Party, Enchanted Skies Star Party, somewhere high, very transparent, very dark, then, in a 17 ethos, you go way deeper.
Right.
So this view could be a rival for the most galaxies in a single field of view, if the conditions warrant it.
Right. Yeah, that's neat.
The magnitude dispersion on it is enough that to get that half a degree field of view, you're running a fairly low power that you just won't pick some of these up on it at that power.
Right.
And they're small too. Like you can see, just relative size on this chart. If you look at, the number 1 galaxy, and then you look down at, say number 18, you never see 18. What is that? PGC 2180406 at 17.1 mag. You'd never see that in the 17 ethos from
Yeah. Yeah, I was just curious as to how many you had in there at one time that you could identify.
Yep. And then the other thing that was kind of disappointing about going back through the logs. So this observation was done January 5th of 2011. So again, just kind of looking through my Januaries, looking for, an observation on the 5th. I stumbled across an observation on the 30th of January in 2017. And, I'm looking at this chart here where I'm seeing galaxies in the 17.1 magnitude range. And January 30th, 2017, what I wrote in my log was totally disappointed with DS2. Between the encroaching light dome and the headlights and the road noise, it's starting to suck. It's just a shame to see a really good local dark site just drop off. And the reason that we lost that site was due to those warehouses out on Interstate
turns out
78. They
NGC
built a bunch of warehouses, and
2742A
just the light domes
is
just
a
slowly
galaxy
encroached
about
on that
2
over the years.
degrees northeast
That's just a difference of 6 years.
2742.
You know, at
It's also
17
numbered
magnitude,
UGC
and then just seeing those skies
4803.
disappear.
So
But it was a good
where the
night
confusion comes from.
back in
If you
2011 up there,
go
and it was
into
fun
any
to pick
sky
that cluster
survey
apart. So I'd
in
encourage
NGC
people to do it.
2742A, it will take
It's
you
fun
to
to do
UGC
galaxy hopping.
4803. Yep. So I also included a little bit
All
closer
right.
up.
There you go, Josh.
Looks like an interesting
All right, so
galaxy.
then the other one I wanted to talk about
that should clear up what we were
is
we were
NGC
talking about.
3077, and this is 13 million light years away and 9.8 magnitude. So why is it in my obscure universe? Well, this one here hides in plain sight, and the reason it can hide is because it's got two distractors right beside it. So M81, the big spiral, and M82, they're both 12 million light years away, and 81 is 6.8 mag, 82 is 8.5 mag. So very bright. Everybody loves them because they're Messiers, and it's very typical to, you know, go a low power wide field view and snap up 81 and 82 together. But if you have a eyepiece that will give you a 1 degree field of view, you can then swap over and grab the other companion to M81, which is NGC 3077. So it's a fun little trick to play if you want to kind of tweak somebody. Tell them you're looking at M81 and the two galaxies look beautiful, and when they come over, they'll be thoroughly confused because it won't be M82. It'll be 3077, and they probably will have never heard about it because they're too distracted by the other two. So it was a hiding in plain sight notation that I made on it, so I thought that would fit well with the obscure universe. So that's all I got. Again, this was just kind of going back through my notes and picking through stuff as I didn't get a chance to get out. I'm hoping there's still a few things left on the scope maintenance modifications that I need to get done, and I'm hoping I can get that wrapped up shortly so I can get rolling for the upcoming dark window. So, you know, fingers crossed that we get some skies and I get a chance to get it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. And as I said, hopefully, been looking at the weather actually right before we started tonight, and maybe clear on Thursday night, but they're saying something maybe about this weekend. Actually, it might be clear. So
Okay.
before then, I heard also then that early next week, the computer, I guess, for the weather guys are showing on their computers, there's another big storm possibly for early next week. So hopefully,
great.
yeah. So hopefully, if it's clear either Thursday night or this coming weekend, it might be a good time to get out. So, you know, because you never know with these, you know, if it's northern nor'east or like that, it could be sock us in again. So,
Yep.
you know as well as I do, guys, that you know all of our dark sites are not easy to get to if it's really bad, if it's really deep. So, yeah, we'll see what happens.
Hey, Carl, can I share my screen again?
Yeah, sure.
So I was thinking about something like, Josh, you said that was January of 2011?
Yes, January 5th, 2011.
All right, so I'm going to show you a picture from February 2011. Okay.
Wow, Rob, you've really let yourself go.
That was the good old axe. Yeah.
And Carl, that's
Yeah.
and that is DS2, Josh.
That's DS2. Yeah.
Yep.
It was a
Wow.
mess.
Yeah, I
mean,
remember
it
that.
was an absolute freaking mess.
Yeah. You need an axe, shovels. Hey,
Yep.
anything to observe, right?
Now that's
Anyway.
your 16, right, Rob?
That's my 16. Yep.
Wow.
Still have it.
Wow. Amazing.
Still have it. Just not set up. Anyway, so yeah, I'm ready to go.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens. And so that's it for this edition of the Astro Observers. Hopefully, we'll cross our fingers that next month that we'll have a lot more to talk about.